market leaders in our company that are doing our cars and trucks. They are. And maybe we should introduce you to them so that there can be a relationship built around that as well.
Yeah,
It's
we,
very
yes,
nice.
the media appreciate so much.
I think they used to do a diversity program. They still do a diversity program for the Detroit Auto Show. And I shared with some of your colleagues, like that idea specifically, like
Yep.
have some of the people behind the cars who are
Yep.
Hispanics,
You
who
need
are
to meet
doing
them.
great things in engineering, in design and all that, and have a program to expose that to that and like, get a closer attachment.
We have all benefited from that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did,
exactly.
we go to the building.
I
But-
did that, and it was very well managed.
For the first time in history, we have a native Mexican managing all of Mexico. No other OEM has that. That's never happened ever. I mean, these are big stories, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Big stories. Grace Lieblein leads Brazil. The first woman, really, to be doing that on a minority basis. So these are huge stories that we don't do a good job telling.
Yeah, there's great people there.
Yeah, you need to pass all this information to us
Right.
and get somebody
Terry?
to tell us.
We need to do a better job. Yeah.
And you
Thank
have terrific goodwill. I remember I have this neighbor in Venezuela where I grew up, and he would only buy Chevrolet. Every time we buy a white one.
Yeah.
I said, what did you have? It was only Chevrolet is Chevrolet. He would say it with such pride.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, back then, the cars were made in the country. I think they
Yeah, I think they probably were.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a long time. I wanted to ask, go back to the cars, and I want to ask about the Camaro. And, because I think it's been such a great success for the company, sales-wise, obviously, but also image-wise. I think it's done great for you guys. And I wanted to ask you, what should we expect to see in this next Camaro weight-wise, basically? And what at least would be your ideal changes that the car would
You're asking me to tell you what the new Camaro is going to be?
Sort of.
I guess
Sort
so.
of, yeah. Right. Good try. It will certainly be, I mean, if you look at why people buy the Camaro that's on the road today, it is styling. It is styling, and it is performance. So those things won't waver, but the formula for that, I think we can do a lot better than what we, the car we have has obviously been on the road for a while. So I would say look for some, a very good approach technically, but the beauty, in fact, we looked at what was going, all the submissions for what this car could look like last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it's going on.
So your smile tells a lot.
Yeah, it's going on, and there are people that would love to have had cars that will never see production as a Camaro, as their production car.
Can I ask a second question? That will be regarding Cadillac. Again, Cadillac is doing so great, and now you have this ATS that kind of closes I mean, I bet there are a lot of gaps that you would like to see filled on the line, but I think you have a very complete and comprehensive line in Cadillac. And should we expect to see Cadillac compete in the global market, like Europe?
Yeah, I mean, really.
Because I think you have the goods.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at where we are today, we sell some Escalades, which is sort of, it's almost its own market. Then you have a CTS and SRX that do the high volume, and they do it in the United States, and that's it. We do some SRXs in China, but it's not high volume, but it's a very popular car. But now they have a tax, right? So it becomes very, very, very expensive. And so if you look at where we would like to compete to get a full lineup, I don't think it's very hard to see where we've had gaps. The first one is ATS. That's 3 Series size, dead nuts. The CTS on the road today is a tweener between a 5 Series and a 3 Series. It will become more of a direct competitor with size-wise with the 5 Series. And then we have a gap at 7. But the 7 Series size, you could say that the XTS is that size, but then it's quite different as a car because it's not rear-wheel drive. And so there's probably room in that area for something, to go against the 7 Series. And then, there's a lot of cars up above that Mercedes in particular and BMW and some of those makes offer that we don't have. And so our lineup isn't very big. And so I like that, though. I like being the underdog on this because we have everywhere to go but up. And so we will fill in a lot of the Cadillac portfolio as we go.
Thank you.
A question just before we leave the performance idea. Terry may kick me under the table for this, but are there any thoughts of high-performance diesels?
Yeah, there is. I don't know that I call the Cruze that's going to come out a high-performance diesel because it's very fun, and for that car, it's not a race car, but that car, you know, a lot of people didn't want to do a manual version of that. We're going to do it anyway because it's so fun to drive.
And do I mean specifically, last year I was in Europe and drove a 4-liter Audi A8 diesel that had shocking performance.
Oh, yeah.
And I keep thinking, with our problems with fuel costs escalating in this country,
Right.
how a big diesel in any of the Cadillac lineup, or take your pick. It's also, I think, it'd be a natural for the sport utility market too to have a big diesel that's going to dramatically increase your mileage and give you this great performance too.
It is. The price sensitivity should be looked at very carefully by each one of the markets you mentioned, though, because at the end of the day, we still have a NOx issue in this country, and we
Yeah.
still have a fuel quality issue in this country, and we still have subsidies that are found in other countries that enable a lot of those things to pay back much quicker than that. So I love diesels, I really do, and I think there's a huge potential for them, but we're going to do it in a pretty measured way by segment, because we've got diesels in all those categories you mentioned around the world in our portfolio, but taking those and selling them here, in a market that some of those things we want to be first, and some of them we have got to get some of those fundamental issues solved before we can take and move into a relatively low-priced sport utility market, for instance. That's a very tough deal. We'd sell some of those, there's no question. There's people that would buy them for the duty cycle of it, all that good stuff. But it's not a cheap date right now. So we're just gonna keep looking at this with high interest. So I think you'll see some things that are pretty fun.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Coming back to the Volt, is any effort in the near future to make it more affordable? And the second question is, what about natural gas that you mentioned? Is any effort in the near future to go to compressed natural gas?
No, on the compressed natural gas in the immediate future, but we're going to introduce that in cars as well as trucks. You're seeing us do trucks right now on a fleet basis, commercial fleet basis, drive some of the infrastructure. You'll see us do some cars too. And I'll just leave it at that. Yes, there's a huge effort on to take costs out of the Volt. Having said that, we just sold almost 3,000 this last month. So people are finding value in it on a lease basis in particular, because you can lease the car for less than it costs to drive with gasoline. So the math is pretty good. We own over now 50% of the plug-in market. I want to stay very humble on the car because I think there's great potential, but we will just let the sales speak for themselves, and we continue to drive the technology costs down. So.
Okay, one more question, please. The Cruze, the last 2 years, the Cruze won the FIA International Sport Car Championship.
Yes, WTCC?
Actually, it beat the BMW. However, in the United States, nobody knows about it.
That's right.
Why?
Well, they don't race here, and so no one really cares about it. So, I mean, if there's an audience here, they take the series here, and then we promote it. But we don't offer SS Cruzes here in the market, nor will we in the foreseeable future. We will focus all of our sport effort on Sonic. And so if you see things that are high performance, small car wise, we will put them into Sonic. We sell 3 Cruze, 3 shifts at Lordstown of cruises that are 4 doors, that are,
Right. Right.
great cars.
Right.
And we have eco models, we'll have a diesel, we have a turbo 1.4 liter. That's great, okay? And so, putting, more racing promotion on Cruise in the United States when it's not positioned as a race car, I want to spend the money where we're gonna get, the right sales.
Okay.
So, that's the way I see it.
Very good.
Yeah.
One question more. How strong is GM and the American industry compared with the foreign competitors?
Sorry,
How strong is the American industry compared with the foreign competitors, like Japanese?
foreign markets, other
Yeah.
foreign markets? US market, we're running at about 14.5 million units. And so, I think, in a healthy economy, we can get to 16 or 17. We've shown that, and run there. There's a huge pent-up demand of replacement vehicles here in the United States. We know that. What people, I can say this, now that the election is done, I think there'll be some confidence, and even the confidence that was revealed by the University of Michigan on car buying, and some of the economic data that has been presented represents there's underlying confidence, but there's also a fear of the unknown with the election. And so we've got to see jobs return to the market before we get real improvement on that type of a run rate. Having said that, the housing market is beginning to return here. And so we know there's going to be pickup truck demand here too, but I think it's still going to be gradual because, we're pacing right with the economy. When the economy begins to add jobs, then we see our industry improve, so. But it's stable, it's very stable.
On your touchscreen technology, which has evolved a lot, do you see that that's going to impact future sales, new buyers, because it's pretty evolved with the XDX touchscreen technology? Can you talk about
Well,
that?
I think it depends on the market segment. Bigger touch screens that have ease of use, we see that sort of transparent between segments. But I think the content that you deliver at different segments with different ages of buyers, with different money that you pay for the car. We have something as simple as your, bring your own media in the Spark, which we know is a big reason why people buy the car, because it basically replicates what you put in and plug in on an iPhone basis. And you're going to see a nav application there that sort of negates having to spend $800 for a nav system that's inherent in the car. This is where the action's at. Everything from that to the Q system, which the Q system, a lot of people will never use the capability of the Q system, but it's got a ton of it, and it's easy to use. But I think key to all this is the ease of use. Everything, this has already set the standard of what people use every day, and the simplicity and your neural network of use is based on Apple, whether it's an iPhone, an iTouch. All of that is setting the pathway of how people think about using this. And so I think that, by the way, I voted. But anyway, the phone itself is making it difficult to be able to go back and forth between use of something in a car and your phone. And so that's a really important thing, I think, that is permanent. And so it may get a little more sophisticated, but the basic use of icons, apps, page that is set in either an iPad or an iPhone is here to stay. And so whether we replicate the content of this in the car, like in a Spark with a nice, beautiful screen, or we take the content and bring you even more content in a Q system in a little bit different method, because the car has so much content that it has to deliver through that screen. Those are two different things, and I think the customer will tell us what they like, but I think a lot of people will be buying, particularly as they begin buying cars, they'll buy based on that, and then they will continue to move through that cycle as they get older, they have kids, they earn more money. That's pretty important. Yeah. Hopefully that.
We have time for one more question, and then we have to.
YGM
has to buy, no buy, sorry.
That's okay.
Why GM has no plans to buy the cars in Brazil?
To buy the cars in Brazil?
No buy.
I'm having trouble with that.
Too.
I'm sorry.
Is the question plans to buy vehicles in Brazil?
Oh, yes, to build a car in Brazil. And you have no plans to build a car in Brazil?
We build a lot of cars in Brazil.
To build a car in Brazil?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We built a lot of cars in Brazil.
Is to distribute in South America or in which market?
Well, I think maybe the question was around South America to build a plant?
Yeah, in Brazil, yeah. In Brazil
We're
to
doing
distribute in
that.
South America.
We're doing all of that. We are. We're building, yeah, we're doing a lot in South America and Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all announced.
Argentina. We have
Argentina.
Rosario.
Yeah, we have the
Argentina as well.
Rosario, and then we're doing a new deal with Argentina. We just announced, what, 2 weeks ago or last week? Yeah.
Latest, the
450, almost $500 million.
In Argentina?
Argentina.
In Argentina.
To invest? Okay.
And we just retooled a lot of things in Brazil as well for our new portfolio there. So, a lot of money.